And we are back with another Johnny Torch Live broadcast. Broadcast number 143 today. On the Torch News Roundup, we are at number 128. All the news that's fit for pop culture consumption with the Torch News Roundup. And we're doing our broadcast today early yet again because of scheduling reasons, but it gives me a chance to connect with the viewers just a little bit sooner. How are you? Let me know in the comments below. We have a bit of a quicker show, I think, today, this afternoon, because there isn't quite that much news, but we have the new Avengers Endgame second trailer to discuss, and that's quite exciting. Plus some breaking news about James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which yours truly did in fact call. And I'll remind you of that, I'm sure, quite frequently when we get to the story. All right, first order of business, though, we want you to check out the link in the description below. You can check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Comics, of course, the Torch News Roundup, as always, brought to you by the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. The link in the description below will bring you to the website where you can find a free 3-page preview of our current issue, one bourbon, one scotch, and one Miller, in the When the Night Comes story arc. And I am hard at work on issue 6, which will complete the story arc. Always exciting when you can complete a story and you have the full story out there for public consumption. And hopefully I'll have some convention announcements. I got a couple of things in the works, but I kind of want to announce them all at one time and not really sort of let the info trickle out, as it were. So grab yourself a beverage or whatever it is that will help you pass the time here as we continue on with the Torch News Roundup. Also, check the link in the description below for my link to my Twitter page. We have a poll of the week question up again on Twitter, and this one is, as the last one was, inspired by Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. The question is, who was the more promising who was the more promising pre-MCU pop star? A bit of a tongue twister there, but we got through it. Who was the more promising pre-MCU pop star, Brie Larson or Chloe Bennett? Captain Marvel versus Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you look at the poll, you will see a sample of both performers, and they're offering to pop music circa, I don't know, mid-2000s. So far, let's see, we got 37 votes. There's 2 days left, so you can influence this poll, but it looks like Brie Larson's running away with it. 70% of the vote she has, compared with Chloe Bennett, Nee Wang, with 30% of the vote. And I don't know, I'd probably agree with that, only because I think Brie's music was slightly more rock influenced, where Chloe is, her music was firmly in the pop genre. I mean, you could see Chloe probably would have fit more with the I don't know, Selena Gomez crowd, while Brie, I don't know, kind of more I don't know, Nickelback? I don't know. Anyhow, you still have time. 2 days left. We got 37 votes, which is not really enough. So get in there on my Twitter page and vote in the poll of the week question. Who was the more promising pre-MCU pop star, Brie Larson or Chloe Bennett? Which one should have continued on with their chosen career? Not that either of these ladies have done very poorly by stepping away, but let me know what you think. All right, so once again, we welcome you here from atop stately Torch Tower, overlooking the fair metropolis below. And let's see, I don't have the chat room open. Let me open the chat room, because last week, or I should say earlier this week, when we had the let's see, the chat room. Okay, I had to shut off. I had to mute the sound. Okay, so let me see how the chat's going here. Okay, we got Hunter Iggy. You already are in the chat. Thank you, man. Very good. Do you think Marvel will let James Gunn go back to DC for Suicide Squad 2 and Suicide Squad 3? Okay, that's pretty interesting because we didn't get to that story yet. But yeah, James Gunn has been announced to return to the fold for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I called this a long time ago. I called this because I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was the Ben Affleck Harley Quinn episode. That was the most recent time I said it. So go back to that. You can check out that video. I don't think I have any views on that video, so this will be a good reason for you to check it out. But I called it. I said they're going to bring James Gunn back into the fold because I don't think that anybody is really too outraged over some crap that he said 10 years ago. This is sort of the outrage culture we're in, where people are digging up stuff from Twitter that's 10 years old, and it doesn't excuse anything he said, quite honestly, but frankly, I don't think this was a fireable offense, really. But they did have to chastise him. They did have to sort of, you know, put the rod down, put the rod of justice down on him. So let's get the image up. There he is in all his glory, James Gunn. We'll talk about this story first. Here we go. Let me read the report here. It says, let's see. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was supposed to be released next year, but when some offensive tweets written by James Gunn resurfaced from a decade ago, Disney was forced to fire the filmmaker, much to the anger of fans and cast members alike, especially Dave Bautista. I just threw that in. Let's see. Deadline has confirmed that the filmmaker has been rehired by Disney, and despite the fact he's still working on the Suicide Squad for Warner Brothers, production will begin on the next Guardians movie as soon as work on that concludes. So they're giving him time to do Suicide Squad, and then they're going to move him over to, then his next project will be Guardians for Disney. Let's see. Disney Studios president Alan Horn met Gunn a number of times after his dismissal, and after accepting his apology and repeating how Gunn has handled the decision, he chose to ask him back. I think they're playing kind of coy with this, to be totally honest with you. I think what's really happening here is as I said, they had in their mind that they were going to chastise him. They were going to do a public display of correcting him. And they always intended on bringing him back. I imagine when he had the first meeting with Horn, this is when this plan was in place. I think from the very beginning they intended, look, go off and do something else. Do another project. Keep it on the down low. And, when the heat dies down, we'll bring up Guardians 3. Because quite frankly, Guardians 3, there was no talk of it getting really another director. They were just talking about how they were going to push it to the side. So I think this was always in the works. Let me continue here. Alan Horn, let's see, where is it? The trade adds that despite meetings with Taika Waititi and Adam McKay, Marvel Studios ever only wanted Gunn at the helm of the threequel. See, again, that sort of corroborates my opinion on this. They kind of sent some floaters out there to make it look like they were shopping around, but quite frankly, they always wanted Gunn back. It sounds like Kevin Feige may have pushed for Gunn's return, as it was always the plan to use his screenplay. And that's something else that is unusual. If you're going to fire the director, usually you bring on another director that wants to add his own script changes and, put his own stamp on it. And they pretty much shot that down right off the bat. Let's see. Yeah, so that's about it for the story. Let me see here. Let me find it. All right, here's the actual broadcast. I think you can hear this. I think you could hear it. This is the actual broadcast of the show when I made my claim. Let's see if you can hear it. I'll see if I can raise the volume. Let me know in the chat if it's too loud. Here we go. Not going to go over it all again. I do say, and I'm going to go on record as saying, I truly believe that James Gunn will direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be directed by James Gunn. They're going to put, MCU is going to put Guardians 3 on hold while they allegedly look for someone to take over the script. While the interim is going on, Gunn is going to direct Suicide Squad #2. And what's going to happen is Warner Brothers is going to take whatever residual, flack from Gunn's decade-old Twitter escapades, And once that little bit of flack is burned away, then we're going to have Disney probably approach him again, and the controversy will be forgotten. All be forgiven.
I called it.
And
I
I
called
can
it.
see him very easily slipping back 5 years from now. Let's say 5 years from now. I say by 2024, he'll have made the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
All right, so there it is. That is or audio from I'm going to say like 2 months ago, where I called that they were going to bring back. They brought him back a lot faster than I thought. By admission, I said it was going to be within 5 years. They announced it barely. What's it been? 6 months, 5 months, or something since this thing was a issue. All right, so now that I've gotten through with the "I told you so"s, let me get to Hunter's question. Uh, do you think Marvel will let James Gunn go back to DC for Suicide Squad 2 and 3? I would say yes, because I think probably Guardians 3 will be the last in that franchise, because as popular as the Guardians franchise is, I don't think that Marvel slash DC has been interested in extending beyond a trilogy. They had a wildly popular Iron Man 3 that made billions of dollars at the box office, over $1 billion at least, and they just chose to use you know Robert Downey Jr. and other collaborative movies, and they haven't done anything else with Captain America or Thor, which you would expect. Those are the heavy hitters of the MCU. They would probably try to put them in a fourth edition of the franchise. So I'm guessing that there will be nothing to hold James Gunn to Disney after Guardians 3, and he probably will be free to do Suicide Squad 2 and 3, which again, that's more than we know, I guess, at this point. I wouldn't be so sure that there will be, a 2 and 3. I don't know. We have to see how it shapes up. I mean, Harley Quinn, I think, was really the biggest draw of the original Suicide Squad, which is, I guess, just being called Suicide Squad. But I think a second, if it has at least the same success, which usually these films have like diminishing returns. That's kind of sort of the way it goes. The sequel never really does quite as good usually. You might not see a Suicide Squad 3, I think. Well, counting guns would be 2 in the franchise, I guess. So yeah, they are going to let him do his Suicide Squad movie, and then they're probably going to, I think, based on the box office, we'll find out if he does a third. There's nothing to say that it won't be a success. I'm not trying to like pour any cold water on the prospects of Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. In fact, I think it's well suited for him. I think he'll probably turn out a really good film in this case. The only thing I'm concerned about the movie is, like I said, we are not sure about Harley Quinn being in it. I think she'd be the big draw because apart from her and Deadshot, who's apparently going to be recast by Idris Elba, I don't know really who they have that's going to really be the draw. You need to have a name, and I think you need at least those two. And if they do sign on, it should be quite successful. All right, so there you go. I called it. James Gunn is back, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be in the works for, what is it now, Phase 4? Phase 4 Marvel? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Thank you, Hunter, for the question. And I I personally took up in the Captain Marvel chat. I personally jotted down Hunter's comment here so I could look up the Justice Society of America movie that's rumored to be going around. I don't usually deal too much in rumor. I like to have a little more fact behind stuff before I report on it. But because Hunter pointed me in this direction, thank you, Hunter. And I checked out the story. And let's see, according to, let's see, We Got This Covered, is at least where I got the story from. According to We Got This Covered, Warner Brothers is looking to develop a movie starring the Justice Society of America. DC fans will recognize the JSA as the original superhero union from the golden age of comics in the 40s, who survived into the modern day as well, with various roster reshuffles. There's a lengthy list of members from across the decades, but some of the more notables include Hawkman and Hawkgirl, Sandman, Spectre, Dr. Fate, who could also be getting his own vehicle. According to the info, seeds of the JSA will be sown in the upcoming Black Adam solo film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the immortal anti-hero. We've been told that Stargirl and Atom Smasher will also be appearing in the movie as well, something that hashtag show has also reported on. So again, kind of early stages. It's a rumor, but we did report about this last week with Hawkman potentially being in the Black Adam movie, which they, I guess, are hoping to spin off into his own Hawkman franchise, or at least one movie. So I could easily see that they would use that as the groundwork for a Justice Society movie. I guess it's kind of interesting because, like we see the image here, the Justice Society is basically the Golden Age Flash and Green Lantern. And this is curious because they haven't been able to get the Flash movie off the ground, which we're actually going to talk about in a few minutes. And the Green Lantern movie is still in development hell. The Green Lantern Corps, which is supposedly going to deal with, I think it's Hal, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner, as far as I know, something like that. It might be just Hal and John, but they still can't get that one off the ground. There's no film date or release date for that scheduled. The Flash has been bounced around from date to date on when it's going to open, when it's going to be in shooting. So again, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out, but this also flies in the face of what WB has been telling us. They've been saying, "Oh, we're not going to have a connected universe. It's not going to be wildly connected." I mean, probably something like Aquaman, where events might be referenced, or Shazam, where it's referenced that you know the other heroes exist in that universe, but we're not going to have like a tightly connected universe. This rumor does blow that away, though, because if Black Adam is going to, one would think, be the villain in Shazam 2, and if Hawkman is going to appear in a Black Adam film, and then Hawkman will get his own film, and then Hawkman will, as reported at least, feature prominently in a Justice Society movie, that kind of is very connected, right? That's a very connected universe. So either this, rumor is full of crap and this is not what they're doing, or this would be a good way to sort of reestablish a connected universe for Warner Brothers DC properties, which I'm a big fan. I'm a big proponent of the connected universe. I think it's a good idea. I don't think every movie has to have some strong interconnectivity. Like, for instance, Wonder Woman 84, I think, is being reported as a standalone piece. And that makes sense because it's happening in 84 when, apparently nothing else was going on. Superman wasn't Superman. Batman wasn't Batman. So there really is not much you can do. So I wouldn't have a, forced tie in there by, making, I don't know, Dr. Fate show up or something. But when it makes sense like this, where you can sort of lay the seeds for, well, we want to do Justice Society, so let's lay the groundwork for Hawkman, Hawkgirl. That would be smart, that would be something I would be for. All right, so yeah, that's great. Thanks for the info on that rumor, Hunter. All right, let's see. We're going to take a look now at the Flash, because we were talking just a moment ago about the Flash. We've got some kind of report in here about the Flash. Let's see. This is from GWW. I hate when they put their initials there because I don't know what that is. Geek Worldwide, maybe? I don't know. But according to GWW, The Flash is set to commence production in November of this year. The site is usually on point when it comes to shoot dates, but until we hear something official, it's best not to take this as confirmation that cameras will start rolling this year. Even if this news is accurate, we have previously heard that Fantastic Beasts 3 commitments could interfere with star Ezra Miller's schedule, so further delays are possible. Again, they can't land this Flash franchise. They can't get it on the ground, pun intended. At any rate, we'll keep you updated. For now, let us know what you hope to see from The Flash, which has Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly on board to direct. So we got two directors for this one, and they still can't get this poor guy off the ground. Can't get this movie going. What do you think about this? Are you interested in a Flash movie, or do you think maybe we should just scrap it and start over fresh? I mean, we're starting over with a new Batman. That's kind of the problem that Warner Brothers faces, is that we want to keep Wonder Woman, we want to keep Harley Quinn. A lot of us want to keep Henry Cavill as Superman, but other characters like and we want to keep Jason Momoa, I would say, but other characters like the Flash, who sort of got shaky reception. Ben Affleck's leaving, so we got to recast anyway. It's like, where do we recast and where do we not? And they don't have the leisure of, like, say, Marvel Studios to just say, well, because they didn't get off the ground running like Marvel did with their, big five characters in Avengers. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to salvage their universe, whether they want to completely scrap it or not. I mean, Cyborg, I don't think his movie's even on the table anymore. That's sad. I don't know. I mean, to me, Cyborg always works better in the context of like Teen Titans or something. So if I don't know. I mean, maybe they could still use him in Justice League if they ever made a sequel, but apparently that's off the table. So yeah, let me know what you think about the Flash. Let me know what you think about the rumors about Justice Society. Is that the way to go instead of Justice League? Should we go with the Golden Age heroes, Justice Society? I don't know. I mean, I think fans would probably rather see the heavy hitters, Superman and Batman all together. I personally didn't hate Justice League. I mean, it did feel a little hackneyed because of the obvious behind the scenes woes that the production went through. But if they start off on the right foot, that's really a gold mine there. Who wouldn't want to see Superman, the Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter? Bring them all in. And if they want to use Cyborg instead of Martian Manhunter, that's fine. I'm just as good with that. But they got to work on a Justice League film once they get all their ducks in a row. All right, let's talk about the Shang-Chi movie. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting. Um, it's kind of like, there's two schools of thought. There's some people saying this is kind of the harbinger of the decline of the MCU, when we got to take like D-list stars now. Like, I mean, because we had C-listers like the Black Panther and Captain Marvel, but now let's face it, Shang-Chi is really a D-lister. And is the MCU going to be able to survive going forward with these as our main Avengers? I don't know. I mean, Marvel so far can do no wrong. We have to say that. We have to admit that. They haven't done wrong by us yet. I mean, you should check out my Captain Marvel spoiler review, because I don't want to get into spoilers here. But my review basically could be boiled down to, is a serviceable movie, pretty much like Black Panther. It's like when you have characters that are not as ingrained in the in the consciousness of comic fans. These are more niche characters, even like Doctor Strange, who I think a lot of fans kind of sleep on Doctor Strange. I think he's really an interesting character, and I would love to see him get a sequel, which I guess is going to happen. Uh, but these are more niche characters. They're not the big, bold Captain Americas, Iron Mans, Thors. These are not the big heavy hitters that are going to, get butts in seats. We all know that, by the track record, that you put out an Iron Man movie, it's going to get butts in seats. I don't know so much how this is going to work if they continue to sort of, go down the tiers to like the third and fourth tier. That's not to say that they're bad movies, like I said, by any means. Black Panther, of course, did very well. And it looks like Captain Marvel's going to do as well. Um, so I don't know. There's no reason to think that Shang-Chi wouldn't do as well. But again, this is a character that was created in the 70s to basically just be their Marvel's answer to Bruce Lee, to get onto the kung fu craze that was going on at the time. Let's see. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Destin Daniel Cretton from Short Term 12 and Just Mercy will helm the Shang-Chi feature film, which has Wonder Woman 84 writer Dave Callaham on board to pen the screenplay. Justin Tipping Dear White People, and Alan Yang, Tiger Tail, and Deborah Cho, Rain and Jessica Jones, and The Mandalorian, also in the running to land the gig. All right, so they lost out. So why are they telling us all the losers for? Who cares? They lost out. The studio is currently preparing to assemble a largely Asian American and Asian cast. Well, that makes sense because it's an Asian American hero. Um, I think he's Asian American. He's not from China or anything, right? Because I don't know. There's this convoluted backstory of his about Fu Manchu was his father and stuff, and they're gonna sort of angleize that kind of stuff. They're not gonna go deep in on the whatever it was it wasn't the golden age but whatever the bronze age backstory. Let's see. With Black Panther director Ryan Coogler and a predominantly black cast managed to tap into African and African American culture with great success, Marvel is hoping Shang-Chi will follow a similar path by introducing a new hero that blends Asian and Asian American themes crafted by Asian and Asian American filmmakers. In the comics, Shang-Chi is the son of Fu Manchu, and his considerable martial arts skills earn him the title Master of Kung Fu. He has been a member of the Avengers and Heroes for Hire. Apparently, the script will modernize the hero to avoid stereotypes from characters of that era. All right, so again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this going to be one of those things where, you know, like I said, they're just going to start shooting for certain demographics? It's sort of like, the Black Panther was the African and African American community. The Captain Marvel movie was the feminist movie. Shang-Chi is going to be the Asian American movie. We'll probably get White Tiger, which will be the Hispanic Latino movie. And this is what kind of goes against my thoughts on how these movies should be approached. I've got nothing against obviously them having the Shang-Chi movie, the White Tiger movie, whatever. That's fine. But if that's all we're going to get for Phase 4, I don't see how that's going to sustain the MCU. I honestly think you recast. If you can't bring back, like I said, in the case of these actors, they're getting carte blanche, really. I mean, they're getting a check and they're being told, you know, sign whatever you want. I mean, that might be a little bit of hyperbole, but I mean, when these movies are making over $1 billion, these guys would be crazy to say, "Look, I'm burning my bridges with Marvel," because quite frankly, if like Chris Evans, for instance, who's been on the fence for a long time, it's always going back and forth with him. Well, maybe I'm walking away after this movie. Well, maybe I'll come back. I'd be a fool not to come back. Well, just give the guy a couple of years off. Give him 5 years of doing his own thing and let him direct. And then you wave a check in front of him and say, hey, remember when we used to have fun? And in the meantime, you still do movies with whoever is still on board. You still do the Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson. You do something with Chris Hemsworth and Thor. I imagine you could still coax Robert Downey Jr. back if you give him a decent paycheck. So that's what I mean. You don't have to really approach this as burning the bridges of the MCU and just going forward with the D list cast that we have left of characters. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited for the Shang-Chi movie? Are you excited for the prospects of the MCU going forward? Or do you think, like I'm thinking, that this is not necessarily the beginning of the end, but if the prominent Avengers are going to be all D-list, and let's face it, these are characters that only, I call them D-list not to demean them, but to say, if you stop anybody on the street and say, who's Shang-Chi, they're going to say, that's the Chinese restaurant down the street. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be funny, but that's what they're going to say. Same thing with Captain Marvel. You say, who's Captain Marvel? They're going to say, oh, isn't that the guy with the red suit and stuff? They mean Shazam. Not too many people are going to know these characters. I don't know if the MCU has bought enough goodwill to sort of just keep the whole system afloat, the whole studio afloat with third and fourth tier characters. And when I say third and fourth tier, you have to remember also that a lot of these Avengers are second tier. Iron Man started out, he was second tier. Thor was second tier. they were not the big guns when Marvel made them. So they've been really doing right by their characters, and that's why they've done so well. But like I said, does that stretch credulity to go down to like the fourth tier with stuff like this? Can you make a Shang-Chi into like a Captain America? Can you make a Black Panther into an Iron Man? So far they have. We'll find out. All right, so let's see. What else do we have here before we get to our final story? No, that's it. We've got our final story here. If you got anything else for me in the chat, be sure to let me know. And, I'll answer any questions. And if you have any comments, leave them down below, and I will answer them in a subsequent broadcast. We'll have a mailbag session to talk about that. I love hearing from the viewers. I love hearing, like I said, if you have something that I haven't checked out yet, like Hunter gave me a story about the JSA. I didn't hear that anywhere else, so I took a look at it. So if you got any news that you want me to talk about, be sure to put it in the comments or the chat, and I'll check it out for the next broadcast if I, haven't heard about it and can't comment at the time. All right, so let's get to our final story. Let's take apart that Avengers Endgame second trailer. Now, let's see. I'm not going to do this in order because as usual, I take some stills, some screenshots, and I'll put them up on screen while I talk about it. But one of these days, I'm just going to put the video up and just see if like I said, what are they going to do? They're going to flag me. I got less than 100 subs. All right, but let's take a look at some of the images. This is the new. People are saying it's the Quantum Realm costume because apparently we all know they're going to go through the Quantum Realm. Apparently, time travel is going to be some kind of issue that they're going to do in order to defeat Thanos, I guess. I guess they can't get the Infinity Gauntlet back to like just. Couldn't you just get the Infinity Gauntlet back and just like change everything back? I don't know, but yeah, there's Cap in the suit. We got to see all of them in the suit. Let's take a look at some of the other suits. Let's see. This is Ant-Man marching on. It's kind of a somber moment. Nebula. I like that this is sort of their, I don't want to say death march, but it's like this is where it's all on the line. You know what I mean? It's like some of you are not coming back, and this is for God and country. Something like that. We get to see Hawkeye, or I guess he's going to be called Ronin now. He's got that crazy mohawk thing. That's it's a different look. I don't know. It's okay, I guess. I'm cool with it. Let's see. Yeah, there's Rhodey. He gets that big War Machine armor still, even though he's in the Cap has got to say Avengers Assemble at this point. If Cap doesn't say Avengers Assemble at some point during all this kind of looks like the Assemble moment. That's why I'm thinking maybe it's now. But I don't know, maybe it'll be when they're when their backs are against the wall, when they're up against it and he finally like rallies all the troops. That might be even better. That's probably better to do it then. All right, there's Iron Man. Oh yes, they betrayed it. They rescued him. Well, we knew that when we seen Nebula. Well, I guess they could have rescued Nebula and not Iron Man. But all right, so he's back in the fold. We got everybody back. I guess he's got a Iron Man suit that's adjacent to that because Rhodey's wearing that big honking War Machine style suit. So I imagine he's going to have his own armor here with this as well. Scarlett Johansson, the red hair is back, thank God, because it was driving me nuts. But Black Widow shouldn't have blonde hair. I mean, if she's on a covert mission or something, that's fine. But they had it like, I don't know, through the whole movie, it was like, it just didn't feel right. I don't think Captain America should have a beard either, but they took care of that apparently too in this film. So they're going to look like, pretty much the classic versions of these characters, although they're all wearing a team uniform, which is kind of throwing me because that's an X-Men thing. I kind of like it when the X-Men all wear something similar, but I don't like it too much with Avengers because they don't really need it. All right, so let's run through some of these here. Just some random shots. This is Of course, Ant-Man, I think this is him just coming back from, the quantum realm to find out that, half the population is missing, and probably Cassie and all them are, her mother and stepfather. I think they're all missing probably, and we already know that the Wasp and Hank and Janet are gone too. So this is kind of a somber scene. I wonder how he gets out of the quantum realm. I don't know who else would get him out. I mean, I suppose it could be Banner. He has some knowledge of that probably. Let's see. All right, this is something that a lot of people are talking about. This is probably a flashback because not only does it look like everybody's happy in the scene, but probably uh, people are speculating that this is going to be Kate Bishop, which again, this is something else that's deeply disturbing me because I don't want them to go and start using the lousy characters from this point in the modern day. He looks pretty happy with her, so this is obviously his daughter from Age of Ultron. And I was one of the ones that was against sort of that whole thing with the Age of Ultron family scenes. But I think they're setting that up here where, uh, they keep trying to, disarm you into thinking that Hawkeye's going to die, I think, and he never does. But I don't know. This trailer is very centric of Hawkeye centric. I think he's in this a lot, Jeremy Renner, and that's great because Hawkeye hasn't really gotten his due. Age of Ultron maybe was his best, getting screen time. But yeah, what do you think, Kate Bishop? Is this something we want to do? Do we want to get rid of Jeremy Renner and have the new teenage female Hawkeye? I mean, that's the stuff they do in the comics. You know what I mean? I don't want to have the Amadeus Cho Hulk. I don't want to have the Kate Bishop Hawkeye. I don't want to have the what's her name? The Iron Man, the teenage black girl. I can't remember her name right now. I don't want that for the movies. And I know, they're even already setting up, I guess, Ms. Marvel for the Captain Marvel sequel or something. I don't know. I mean, that's what killed the comics, and they're very easily going to kill the MCU if they go in that direction. And this is what I mean about how I don't know. Is this the warning shot? Is this what we're supposed to expect? Is this something to be concerned about? Or are they just going to, like I said, try to recast? Try to recast the roles of the people that just want to walk away and not come back. I think that's for the best if that's what they do. All right, so let's take a look here at this is something I liked. I like this a lot. We see the camaraderie again between Hawkeye and Black Widow. I always said, now all these crazy people out there want to see Captain America and Black Widow get together. I don't see it. I never could see them getting together. Black Widow and Hawkeye, yes, because both of them are kind of shady. Both of them. What does Captain America have in common with Black Widow? I know they tell you opposites attract, but they would drive each other crazy. There would be no camaraderie really between them. In the case of, I'm trying to think his real name, Clint, Clint and Natasha, they have sort of that, they've been through the mill together. They kind of know that they haven't been the best people, that they've seen things that they really aren't proud of. That's why I always thought they'd be good together. And then they had to give, Hawkeye a family and 3 kids, and it's Auntie Natasha and stuff. That stuff just really ticked me off. I didn't like it. So if indeed Hawkeye's family doesn't come back, maybe we'll be able to see something between them now. I would hope, but is it wrong for me to hope that Hawkeye's family doesn't come back? Is it wrong for me? Look at these looks between these two. Look at those looks. That's not just, platonic friends. That's passion.
That's magnetism, romantic magnetism between them. And you're going to deny this? Are you going to deny this to me? Come on. Don't do that. Come on. You know it to be true. And yeah, this looks like when she first finds him, her hair is still kind of blonde. You can see there's a time progression in the trailer of at the early points she's blonde and later in the film she's back to being a redhead. So again, get these two together. Is it wrong for me to be rooting for the death of Hawkeye's wife and family? What kind of man roots for the death of Hawkeye's wife and children? Oh man, what does that say about me? I don't know. But look at this. Yeah. This is the way it was meant to be, folks. This was the way it was meant to be. All right, let's let's move on. Let's see. Uh we got this is Black Widow in training. Looks like she's got that small snub pistol again. And her hair's grown out, which it looks like for a time she's keeping her hair blonde while her hair grows out. And then there comes a point where it gets red again. I'm fascinated by her hair. But as always, Scarlett Johansson looks great. But she just looks better when she has the long red hair. Not that Josh Whedon bob cut either. Not the soccer mom cut. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of length with the red hair. She's kind of got the reverse Christina Aguilera. Isn't that something she used to do? She used to have the blonde hair and the red tips. Yeah, this is kind of the opposite. But that's what I want to see from the Black Widow. And yeah, all right, enough gratuitous Black Widow shots, but that's kind of where it was at. That's what I was concerned about. And yeah, it looks like they're giving her a decent hairdo in this one. All right, let's see. Thor. Thor is looking like he's ready to kick butt, all kinds of butt. And this costume looks great. I love this costume. It is as close to the first Thor film costume as they've had, and that's my favorite Thor costume was the first one. I don't know why they seem to be going with the short hair still. This would have been a good chance for him to grow it out again. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know why you want to do this. Is it something that Chris Hemsworth wants? Maybe. I don't know. Or do they think that maybe the female audience is going to track better with a short-haired Chris Hemsworth because sort of that long flowing jazz isn't working for them? I don't know. But yeah, I want to see Thor with the long hair. I don't know. It just he was called Goldilocks in the comics for a reason. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have that no more. That distinction. All right, let's see. We're going to see some more Thor in a moment, but let's take a look at this. This is Rocket and War Machine. Kind of interesting that they pair them two up together. As you can see, Rocket has got the classic costume on. That's another thing I love, that they put him in the original Guardians costume. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Rocket in this film, to be totally honest with you, because he's going to be probably the most fun character, and it would be fun to see him playing off of Tony a lot, I would think. Looks like they're pairing him up with Rhodey, which would probably be just as fun because Rhodey's kind of Tony's, well, I don't want to say straight man, but you know what I mean. They have that rapport that probably will go good with Rocket as well, so that's cool. Let's see. We also have, this is some tense business with Cap. This looks like, this is what I was saying when their back is against the wall. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is where he gives the Avengers Assemble declaration or whatever, the Declaration of America, Captain America. That would be pretty cool coming right there. There looks like there is a battle going on. I don't know exactly. This is probably near the end of the movie, although I believe they said that this trailer has only got footage from the first 15 minutes, and the movie's going to be 3 hours apparently. So I don't know. And Nebula, of course. I really like Nebula, and I don't expect her to survive this movie. I think I'm pretty sure if anybody's going to go down, she would be the odds-on favorite. If you got a betting pool, a death pool, and
you can take Nebula. I say take Nebula. That's probably the odds-on favorite. But I don't know. We'll see. And one more shot from that scene. We've got, let's see. I think it's, yeah, Ant-Man in action here. Something's going on here. I'm not sure exactly what. But yeah, we got Ant-Man in the middle of the battlefield. And I'm really a fan of Scott Lang here, Paul Rudd's portrayal of him. I like this character, and I'm really, really, really hoping that we get an Ant-Man 3 because it would just stink to just drop the character off right there. I firmly believe they're going to use him in any future Avengers movies, but I don't know if they're going to give him that third movie, and he really deserves it. He's a great character, and Rudd is a great actor. He brings a lot to that character that I don't think any other actor really would do him as well. I mean, that's kind of high praise, but that's the way I feel. And we'll do one more here before we wrap it up. This is another. Looks like Hawkeye is on a mission, or Ronin, if you will. He's on a mission. No, he's Hawkeye, right? Because I think Ronin is when he uses the swords. I think he's Hawkeye when he uses the bows and arrows. He's back to the bow. So yeah, he's on a mission. He blows something up. I don't know. I like the legacy feeling of this trailer as well. I got to point that out. They have the flashbacks to the previous movies. And we still hear Tony giving his sort of his last will and testament to Pepper. We hear Peggy Carter giving some words to Cap, which I don't know if that's meant to be in a flashback or is that something that they lifted from some earlier movie. I didn't recognize that, but and Thor thinking back on Asgard and all he's lost. Pretty sad stuff. It's going to be a pretty heartbreaking 3 hours if that's indeed what it is. All right, so let's get to the ending. This is what everybody was looking forward to, right? Our next shot of Captain Marvel. She's now in the Captain Marvel. No, she's in the MCU. What am I talking? She's in the MCU. Now, this image did get me excited, I admit, because looking at her from this angle, I thought she could be wearing the original Ms. Marvel costume. Well, not the original because that was the sort of the feminine take on the Captain Marvel costume. But you know the one I'm talking about, the Ms. Marvel costume. Let me bring it up. I've got an image of it here. Let's see. I was thinking this is what it was going to look like. I know. I was hoping against hope, but in that brief, glorious moment when she's got her back turned kind of and she's wearing a black tank top, I said, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see her wearing the comic or accurate costume, just giving us a little bit of it, just some excuse to put her in it just for a second, and it would be so cool. But no, of course, the PC crowd, the SJW ninnies, they're never going to give us this costume. Look at that costume. It's glorious. The sash, the mask, the lightning bolt. But that's what I'm more disappointed in. I'm not disappointed in Brie Larson or the character itself. So anyway, yeah, she introduces herself to Thor. I quite frankly didn't get this joke. I didn't understand it. He calls, well, I don't know if we want to call it Mjolnir. What is it? Stormbreaker? I'm gonna miss Mjolnir to be totally honest with you. I don't really like Stormbreaker. Anyway, he calls Stormbreaker over to him, and it zips by her head. She doesn't really flinch. She just sort of looks down, like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I like her." And that's basically it. I didn't get the joke. I don't know. Is it because she's staring him down that he likes her? And she's like not intimidated by this big gruff man? Is that what that's supposed to mean? Because if that's all it is, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed because that's kind of lame. Is it because he likes her because she didn't flinch because the Stormbreaker zip right past her? If that's the case, I mean, I'm pretty sure he could do that to like a half a dozen other heroes and they would have the same reaction. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to make of that joke, but I don't know. From what I've heard, people are just saying this is just setting them up that they're going to be an item in the movie, which I don't know. I mean, having seen Captain Marvel the movie, again no spoilers, but they don't seem to be in any way, shape, or form wanting to put her in a relationship. And if they do that here, I'll actually be happy. I'll actually be happy to see that she's not just a one-dimensional character, that she does want relationships, both romantic and otherwise. Because in that movie, I don't know, that she had her friend there, her roomie, and that was about it. It didn't really feel like I don't know. It just didn't feel like we still see Black Widow with the short hair, the short blonde bob, with the Deborah Harry, if you will. So yeah, I'm happy to say goodbye to the Deborah Harry. Last image here, and this is the one that drove the SJWs wild. The feminists began to rancor. Is that what it's called? We got that Captain Marvel smirk, and what's this? She's wearing lipstick and rouge, not to be confused with Rogue, which she couldn't beat, by the way. But lipstick and rouge, how dare they? How dare the patriarchy push lipstick, rouge, and mascara on Captain Marvel? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Mm. If it wasn't for the fact that this was such a big, highly anticipated movie, I, on principle, just wouldn't even see it. I wouldn't see Endgame for this reason alone. Because, come on, let's face it, that's ridiculous. Why are people making a big stink about this for? She actually put a little makeup on. Oh my goodness. The Russo brothers actually treated her like a woman and said, makeup. What is so wrong about that? That she actually, not that she didn't look good in Captain Marvel, but the fact that she actually put some makeup on, does that really lower the expectation of the film for you? I don't know. I don't know why it would. The same bull went on, quite frankly, the same BS bologna sandwiches went on with Justice League. We had the feminists screaming in horror that the Amazon, some of them anyway, had bare midriffs. And I even said then, that is the most ridiculous thing to complain about because A, they are fulfilling a purpose that way. They were supposed to be swinging mallets and trying to close the entrance to the catacombs or whatever. I mean, you're not going to wear a suit of armor or, if you pardon the expression, breastplate while you're swinging a hammer. That would be very uncomfortable and restricting. So yeah, obviously they would be having the bare midriff, and for some reason that was, the most horrible thing that they could. It was anathema to feminists. And also for another reason is, this is, at least from my recollection, it was Paradise Island. Women weren't afraid of the male gaze because there were no men on the island. That's why you have in the original Linda Carter series, Paradise Island, they all wore negligees basically around the beach. Did you ever go back and watch it? It's true. That's what they wore. They wore see-through gowns. And feminists these days would love it because no men. There's no men on the island. You could wear whatever you want. You could take out the Victoria's Secret catalog or whatever it is that women are into, and you ain't gonna have a man see you for miles around. So I didn't really see what the big to do was there, and it's basically the same thing here. I don't know what the hubbub is that they actually put a little makeup on Brie Larson. Obviously, she didn't care, and she's a big feminist and everything, right? She should have put her foot down to the patriarchy and insisted that she not wear any makeup. But why is she wearing it? Because women like to wear makeup. She's not being forced. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we're gonna be wrapping it up here again. As I thought, we went longer than I thought we were gonna. I thought this was gonna be like a 40-minute one because we have 40-minute shows once in a while, but we had a lot of stuff to cover at the end of it all, and I do get long-winded. So once again, smash that like button. It really will do me a solid if you smash that like button. Let's get all your friends in here. Let them know that Johnny Torch Live is fun, and I'm here for the fans. I'm here for you guys if you want to ask a question. Oh, I want to talk about this. I said this at last week's show. I think we're going to have a Saturday broadcast next week. I'm not sure. My schedule has moved around a bit, and I can't be sure exactly if I'm going to do a show Saturday or Friday, but we always try to do a show Saturday. We try to do one once in a while, Mondays or Wednesdays. But if you want to be on the Johnny Torch Live broadcast, probably we could do a Torch News roundup, but that's a little more encumbersome. I'm talking about doing just a broadcast where I interview you, or for lack of a better term, interview you, and we'll just talk shop about pop culture or anything that's interesting to you. I'll let you plug your site or your channel. And, you know, I don't want to take anybody's sight unseen. So if you do have a channel, it'd be best to like link it to me in the description below, and I'll take a look at your site and see if we're compatible with this kind of show. The only rules, of course, are no vulgarity, no cursing. We try to keep a high moral standard on this, so we're not going to talk dirty or or cuss. And also, you should be available after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays, Mondays, or Wednesdays would probably be the best time, or on the odd occasion like this where I could probably do a show on a Friday. But let me know if you're interested in the comments below, and I will see if we can get a couple guests on the show in the coming months. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Take a look in the description for the link to my Twitter page. You can vote in the poll of the week question. Check out all the good stuff going on Twitter. And of course, check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon comics, the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. It's my passion project. It's my baby. It's gonna blow you away. If you like, if you like, if you like, I try to say if it was 80s television meets 80s comics. It's sort of that sort of action genre show that was on in the 80s, like the A-Team, Knight Rider, MacGyver, Battlestar Galactica. Well, that was 70s, but that same sweet spot, mid 70s to mid 80s, was the sweet spot for action shows, and also my favorite period for comics, the mid 70s to mid 80s. So I've used that sort of as my template for what I want to do and for that tone for my comics. So check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon comics. The link's in the description below. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, share so everybody knows. And like I said, if you want to point me in a direction of a topic you'd like me to discuss, leave it in the comments below or in the chat while the show's going on. I try to do the shows live. Once in a while I don't, but always can find me in the chat. I mean the comments, and drop me a line there, and I will read whatever you say on a subsequent Torch News Roundup. So, with all bases covered, thank you once again for joining us. God love you for being there. Great to have you in the audience. Love doing these shows. Love it even more when I know that I've got a couple people watching. That's all that matters. Quality, not quantity. But if you enjoy the show, make sure you give me a shout out and let others know. So once again, this is Johnny Torch reminding you, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.